So I'm trying to it's just funny. Okay, so you know how I made a video about the Amazon Vine taxes? If you haven't seen it, I'll link it up here, right? So I talked to the IRS. Before then, I made another video when it was just me, CPAs, and accountants, and they was all like, "Oh, because it's on a 1099, you got to pay taxes because they're saying you an independent contractor." And I was like, "Well, that ain't right because I was never told I was one. I never got the assumption I was one. I never thought I was one. So I ain't doing that." So when I finally got to the IRS and I talked to them, gave them everything, read them the scripts off of Amazon, the terms of service, FAQ, all that, they was like, "We don't see that as income. That's not a service," and all these other things. So then when I got to the agent in the underwriting department, and I was like, "Look, sir, please listen to me. I need some understanding. I need some questions answered because I can't find it on the actual IRS law page. Like, this is what I was told to do, right?" So I'm saying all this because I got somebody who sent me a message that kind of flows into this, but I wanted to make an updated video because I think people haven't watched the whole video, number one. And then they heard so much information, it's a little confusing because I was bringing my objections to what I see is not lawful per the law of what Amazon is doing. And no one told me I was wrong, which is why I think I'm still right. Because I think it's one of those gray areas that's like, well, we don't have nothing that says that's right or wrong, so we can't say yes or no. I think it's pretty much going to be up to an individual to be like, well, we're not going to agree with that or we will. But the agent in the underwriting department pretty much guided me to this one solution that I have found to be true per the IRS rules is if you request a 1099 that is incorrect amounts on there and they do not give you one, you're able to zero out the income. I don't know why that's a solution. I mean, for me, even to myself, I'm like, zero it all out. Like, that kind of feels like a little weird. But that's literally what it was. The way he told me was not incorrect. It was correct. It just sounds crazy, right? I mean, taxes is crazy by itself, but that just sounds completely crazy. However, this is the question, not question, but this is what I wanted to make people understand. When I mentioned in that video about me zeroing out my income and what he told me to do, that was because Amazon did not give me a corrected 1099. I emailed them multiple times. I got a response back, which was just the same 1099 I already received. And then I sent them back an email like, no, this is not correct. And I put a bunch of stuff on there and they ignored me. So I, sent them another email, and I feel like anything that says taxes or like 1099, they don't really respond to it 100%. And it's like kind of weird because it's like, if you're going to give me this form, I should be able to ask you questions, right? Like, I don't know. That's just me. Anyway, here is the question I received regarding the Vine stuff in some more details because I wanted to answer this question. And if this is you, we should link up because you just feel like you're going to be my business friend because you're giving me good vibes. So this is another big paragraph, but I'm not going to read it all out. You guys can see it here on the page. However, I did want to just mention in this passage, the individual had wrote, "I've always filed a Schedule C to deduct business expenses since the pandemic lockdown killed the business and all that. My income took a big hit. I intend to deduct all business-related Vine products on Schedule C, but have been very hesitant to go too deep ordering products from Vine." Now, here is what I do know. Again, not saying this is tax advice from my own personal knowledge, but you definitely want to look up the IRS tax code, talk to a CPA or accountant, or even go on TurboTax, type in some words to see what populates, because I found many people go to TurboTax, and I used to work for them as an independent contractor, and they do have accountants and CPAs answer these questions so that they are legitimate, real, correct situations, and they link most times to the IRS website. So what I have been told is that if you do decide to utilize the 1099 form you receive from Vine as a true independent contractor, you cannot deduct that amount of money because that is considered labor, and you cannot deduct your own labor per my old video and what I spoke to multiple CPAs and accountants. So in that retrospect, if you decide to utilize the Vine products for your business, you can only deduct things you buy additional to that Vine products. For instance, if I'm going to do a candle business and Vine gave me this candle right here for free, I can't deduct the amount that Vine gave me for this candle. However, if I purchase this from my own money so I can light the candle, then I can go right ahead and deduct this because I'm using it strictly for my business to light my candles for maybe photos or videos or whatever. So if Vine give you a product, you can't deduct that per what I was told. However, if you buy something that accompanies a Vine product to help you with your business, that you can deduct because you're buying it out of your own pocket and a bunch of other legal, information. So that's what I wanted to definitely mention because that's what I took from what you stated in that passage. Now, going into the whole separate entity thing, I don't know what you mean by that because you're being seen as an independent contractor based upon that tax form. However, I am not an independent contractor with Vine at all. And I decided to file my taxes as a hobby. And even though that form is on Schedule C, I realized through multiple researches and talking to people that the 1099 NEC form is utilized for a bunch of other things as well. So when I file my taxes as a hobby, I'm not considering or filing that income as a business, so I'm not paying those extra taxes. If you do that as a business, what I think is what you're saying in this comment, then you would have to pay those extra taxes because you're saying I'm treating this income as a business and you're going to be paying the taxes as a business. So you definitely want to, you know, take a moment and look at what you're doing for your taxes regarding everything because again Vine makes everything a lot more complicated. But just take a second, step back, put it on paper, or like line up what's been going on and figuring out where it applies best. But the only two options I've found so far based upon multiple people with the IRS and outside the IRS, even reading things myself on the website, is you would file as a regular independent contractor, which will be accompanied by the self-employment tax, or you will go on this side and you will do as a hobby, which you don't pay self-employment tax. However, depending upon where you are, your state level, they will consider it to be a regular income. Like you guys, this is crazy. It's a lot. But I can do a whole nother update on that because it's a lot that I learned after that video as well. But that's what I wanted to say about this comment here. Definitely to take a step back, figure out what makes sense. Also, you can make a fake account on TurboTax because I did it all the time when I used to work for them. Make a fake account, use fake information, but put your real numbers in there and then go through the prompts to see what they say you would have to pay. I don't know if everything that's in the system now is updated for the 2023 tax year, but you can get a general understanding about amounts and if you wanted to do it and what you're saying about making it another entity, or if you want to try to do it as a hobby, and you can compare the two amounts to see which one works best for you. That's my advice because that's what I was taught to do as a TurboTax individual, and also what I did myself because that's why I'm always looking into learning. Like I'm not going to just say this is accurate. Let me do a little bit more research and figure it out. But working in TurboTax and knowing about the tax stuff and going through all these other things and these articles and rules and all that, I would suggest you try that out and connect with me whoever you are because I want us to link up. I think we're going to be great business friends. And if you are a person who's looking to get into business as well, connect with me on DMs because I definitely want us to be support to each other so we can get this money and elevate ourselves in this crazy market that's also giving us a lot of opportunity.